Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire is having a monstrous run at the worldwide box office, earning over $200 million within just 3 days of its release and going past blockbuster movies like Dune Part 2 in the process. As expected, a lot of wannabe toxic reviewers and critics who said this movie would turn out to be a huge commercial disaster are nowhere to be seen because they have decided to hide somewhere deep inside the hollow earth while Titanus Doug is looking out for them. I have been telling you guys since day one that the Monsterverse is going to be the biggest cinematic universe in the very near future, but a bunch of people were in denial, and this is what they have been telling themselves to feel better.
But the MCU is the biggest cinematic universe and it can never be surpassed. Only the DCEU comes close, but the MCU is always going to be the #1 cinematic universe of all time.
Well, here we are in 2024. The DCEU has turned into John Cena because it cannot be seen anywhere at the moment, while so far as the MCU is concerned, ever since Tony Stark snapped his fingers in Avengers Endgame, the quality of their movies dropped faster than Gwen Stacy in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Before I go further into my discussion, I am going to request you to spend just 1 second of your time to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, because that is the only motivation for me to keep working harder and to bring you more and more such awesome contents. Coming back to the main subject again, let me make it very clear to you that Godzilla x Kong is actually one of the most stupid, nonsensical and logic-defying movies ever made in the history of cinema. But that is also the reason why this movie is turning out to be such a huge commercial success. The makers, more specifically director Adam Wingard, knew exactly what audiences wanted from this movie, which is utter chaos, destruction and madness on a scale never witnessed before. No one in the right frame of mind would expect a 3-hour-long brainstorming masterpiece of a movie like Tenet or freaking Inception from a Monsterverse movie, which was very clear from the trailers, TV spots and even the promotional posters. The movie was promoted to be a crazy and ridiculous, nonsensical rollercoaster ride from the very beginning. The movie delivered exactly what it promised to deliver, which is why, despite the embarrassingly low IMDb Rotten Tomatoes ratings and a bunch of wannabe reviewers trying to downgrade this movie, it is getting an insanely overwhelming response at the box office, which is so beautiful to witness as a huge lifelong fan of the Big G. So this proves that people are not tired of watching fun, entertaining, ridiculous and stupid movies, as long as it is able to deliver what it promised to deliver in the best way possible. I fail to understand why most people seem to believe that only movies like Taxi Driver and The Dark Knight can be regarded as good quality movies. Cinema is meant to include all sorts of genres, which means even a stupid and unrealistic movie like Godzilla x Kong can be considered a great movie as long as it is able to live up to its expectations. Sorry, Mr. Scorsese, while I may not be as qualified and well recognized as you, my definition of peak cinema is slightly different. Coming back to the Monsterverse once again, while the movies set within the franchise might be campy and ridiculous, Legendary Studios have actually done a pretty good job in slowly building up a strong, cohesive, interconnected universe. If we look at the progression of the Monsterverse, it started with the 2014 Godzilla movie, which actually is a pretty emotional and intense monster movie which laid out a strong foundation for the expansion of the franchise going forward. This movie marked the return of the Big G to Hollywood after this ridiculous 1995 movie, which I would definitely have wiped out from existence if I was Dr. Stephen Strange. This movie was followed by the introduction of the Monsterverse version of King Kong in Kong Skull Island 2017. Kong Skull Island introduced the world of Skull Island as well as the EV tribe, who would later become one of the most important elements connecting this universe. The next movie, called Godzilla King of the Monsters, went a step further and introduced King Ghidorah, Mothra and Rodan, 3 of the most iconic titans from the Toho Kaiju universe. The next movie, Godzilla vs. Kong, despite not being as good as the previous 3 movies in the franchise, introduced the Hollow Earth, which is arguably going to be the most important aspect for the expansion of the Monsterverse in the near future. So, if you pay attention to the progression of the franchise, you will admit the fact that Legendary Studios have done a remarkably good job in setting up a never-before-seen live-action monster cinematic universe in an extremely systematic and interesting way without unnecessarily overcomplicating things. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for the DCEU or the Snyderverse, whatever you like to call it. Despite having copyright claim to some of the most popular characters in pop culture like Batman, Superman and Wonder Woman, Warner Brothers failed to create anything close to a strong, interconnected, cohesive cinematic universe. While I have to admit that the DCEU did in fact produce several good films like Wonder Woman 2017, Man of Steel and Zack Snyder's Justice League, but there never was a sense of interconnectivity among these movies. These projects in fact never at any point even felt like they belonged to the same universe, because there was never a clear long-term plan and vision for the DCEU, which ultimately led to its demise. Coming to the MCU, it feels like, along with Thanos and his army, The quality of their movies have also turned to dust when Tony Stark snapped his fingers in Avengers Endgame. Ever since the start of the fourth phase of the MCU, I feel like the focus has been more towards producing more number of projects every year rather than focusing on the actual quality and storytelling aspect of these projects. As a result, we got treated with some amazing movies and TV shows that will be remembered till the end of time, most notably She-Hulk, The Marvels and Thor 4. I believe it would literally make no difference to the events within the bigger MCU if these projects never existed in the first place. Knowing how well Phase 4 and Phase 5 of the MCU turned out, I actually feel quite relieved knowing that Iron Man got to die an honorable death. Unlike the Monsterverse, fans actually expect to see great logical and intense content from Marvel Studios like Captain America Winter Soldier, Avengers Infinity War and Loki. So long story short, the Monsterverse has managed to succeed in exactly those aspects where both Marvel and DC have massively failed, and the commercial box office performance proves my point beyond a shadow of a doubt. We can only hope that both Marvel and DC manages to learn something positive from the success of Godzilla x Kong and the Monsterverse in general and give us better contents in future. So that is all I had to share in this video. Let me know your thoughts on the huge box office collections of Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire in the comments down below. And please do not forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.